Hey everyone, today we're going to be working with Affinity Photo and we're going to learn how to repair a torn photograph. So let's just jump right in and get right started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to File and we're going to open our torn image, and we're going to be working with this image today. Alright, and there is our image. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to the Flood Select tool. And what this does is it basically selects all of one color, and I want my whites. And as you can see, you've got your marching ants along the whites, and I'm going to push delete. And that's going to separate that. That's going to actually delete that white line in between there because we don't need that. All right. And I'm going to go up to select and deselect that. Okay, once you have that done, we're going to go right up above that and we're going to go to the selection brush tool. And we're up here on our ad in the mode. And I've got mine set to 29 pixels. And I'm going to start selecting this first little square. And it's not going to be perfect at first, and that's fine. We can go in and adjust that. I'm going to go to subtract, and I'm going to get this as close as I can to that edge. And I may need to take my brush size down a little. There we go. All right, so once we have that first one selected, we're going to go to Edit. And we're going to go to Copy. We're going to go up to Edit. And we're going to go to Paste. And you'll notice that this puts it in another layer here. So now if I turn that off, it's still there in my background layer. But if I turn it back on, there it is. And that's what we want. So with this one being done, we're going to go back up to Select. We're going to go to Deselect, and we're going to go on to the next one. So we're going to make sure we're on Add, and we're going to go ahead and start selecting this next section. All right, and then we're going to go around our edge as close as we can possibly get. And I'm actually going to take my brush size down a little bit, and that's going to help me. And I'm going to zoom in. Go to subtract. Now this is fairly close. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to get it as close as you can get. It's giving you problems. Don't stress it too much. Most of this up here, it's not a detail, so it's going to be overlapping something else anyways. And I want to subtract this little corner right here. Alright, so once we get that one done, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go up to Edit. We're going to go up to Copy. And then we're going to go to Edit. And we're going to go to Paste. And it's, again, oh, I've got to make sure I'm on the right layer when I do that. Let me erase that one. If you don't, you're going to get a blank one. And you'll notice by if you do this, it's nothing there. So we actually want to take that off. And I'm just going to pull it down in my trash can here. Okay, so go to this one. And I select Copy. And we're going to go to Paste. And then that's going to put that one in the layer. All right, and we're going to go to Select. We're going to deselect. We're going to make sure we're on the bottom layer this time. And then we're going to go to our next one. We're going to make sure we're on Add. All right, and we're going to subtract. And I noticed there it's selected, and I don't want that. So we want it as close as we can get it. All right, and that added back in. We're going to go up to Edit. We're going to go to Copy. And then down to Edit and Paste. And so now we have 3 of them. Let me take this background layer off. We have 3 there. So we're going to go back to select this, turn that back on. Go to select, go to deselect, and then we're going to start selecting this last section here. Make sure we're on add. I'm going to subtract this white section out. Alright, and now we have that one selected. Make sure we've got all of it. I see a little spot right there that's not. Alright, and we're going to go up to edit. We're going to go to copy, then down to edit, and we're going to go to paste. Alright, so now we can actually take off this background layer and deselect. And depending upon which section we're on is going to be what we're moving. So I'm going to start actually by moving this section. So we're going to go to our move tool. And I can just move this. And what I'm looking to line up is I'm looking to line up those features like the edge of the shirt. Right here. And I might even need to rotate just a hair. Oh, wrong one. Alright, and that's pretty well lined up. So then we're going to go up to the next one right above this because I just want to stay on this side and then I'll work on the other. So the next section that I did would be right here. And I'm going to go up. And I'm going to start bringing this one down. And just doing the same thing, just lining this up. I'm going to need to rotate this one just a hair, just like we did the other one. And that may not be exactly right, and I can tell because of this line here, which I can repair that. I'm not too concerned with that. I'm actually going to zoom out just a little. It's pretty close, but it's just not exact. So it's probably more like that. Alright, and then we're going to go to the next section, which is actually going to be down here. And that is actually, because I lined that one up with the other, that one's actually pretty close. So let me go up here and look at this section. I'm going to start bringing it down. There's our tape marks, and you can see that those line up pretty well there. Alright, and then I'm going to go back to this. And it's kind of like a puzzle. You just kind of have to fit it together where it'll fit. And you can kind of see and where you really have the least amount of spaces. And that's going to be your best bet right there, is because you've got to fill these spaces in with information. So you want the least amount of gaps because that's going to make your job a lot easier. So with that being done, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go up to layer and I'm going to go merge visible. And what that does is it sticks them all on one layer here. I'm actually going to pull that one to the top. I thought I pulled it to the top. I guess I didn't. Okay, I don't know what I did there. Let me merge that again. Edit. Layer, merge visible. There it is. There. And I'm going to delete this one because that was a mistake. That's just where I merged it twice. Alright, and then I'm going to turn off these layers. Alright, so this is our layer here, and this has got it all combined. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cleaning this up. I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go down to our patch tool. We actually, if you push this little arrow here, you can get your other tools, like your healing brush, your blemish removal, all of these right here. But I like the patch tool. It works pretty good for me. So that's kind of what I'm going to work with. So I'm going to kind of circle this section, and then I'm going to find a section that's close to matching. And what I'm doing is I'm just circling those areas, and I can go on in and clean those up more later. I really just want to get some of this dark stuff that's not matching out of here, because those may cause me issues like later if I'm trying to use my clone tool and things like that. So and I'm not too worried about that line. I'm actually going to clone that line out. And this is just really a quick way of doing this. And I'm not being real precise. I'm going to undo that because I don't want that black in there. And as you can see, our top is already looking a lot better than it was. We just want to be consistent. If we have this line here and we decide we want to remove that, we want to be consistent all the way through and make sure we carry it all the way down in our photo. This just helps it blend better and not look so much like an edited picture. And this, let me go back on this a little bit. This patch tool, if I circle an area, all I've got to do is touch the area that I want it to replace it with. So if I wanted information from over here and I push that, that's what's going to be there. So I just want this to look nice and smooth. I just need to hit an area that's similar, and it's going to smooth that out. Like this dot, it'll take that out. And it's a little faster than some of the other patch tools, like in Photoshop is a little more time consuming because there's more settings that you have to set and things like that. So this one's actually very nice. You just kind of have to hit it where you want it and make sure that's the area that you wanted to use. It's mostly just a tap and click. And as you can tell, this is already starting to look much better than it did. Back out of that. All right. Like I said, this is already starting to look much better than it did. So we're going to actually zoom in a little more. And I'm going to start working on his face. And I can do the same thing here and grab from a similar area or something. Usually it's something pretty close by. You want to stay with that same color range, then you're going to grab from something close by. If it doesn't look right, undo it. Pick a different area to pull from. And this is going to help it look more natural. If you have rough edges, you can go over it again to keep those edges from being as sharp. So they'll blend a little better. And keep you from having harsh lines. All right. And one thing you need to realize when you're doing things like this is it's not necessarily going to look perfect when you have to patch an old torn image. But it will, you know, if you've done correctly, it will look better than it did to begin with. And that is our goal. We're trying to restore these images, bring back some family memories. And even though they're damaged, doesn't mean they're trash. It doesn't mean that you just throw them away. It means, you know, you can restore part of these back to some of what they were to give those memories back to some people. And that's a wonderful thing to do. And as I said, the face is already looking so much better than it did. You can see all the features. Even though there was a tear right down by the eyebrow, it's hardly noticeable now. So this is where it's going to get a little more difficult, and let me explain why. The difficulty lies in the fact that these are lines that go across, just like here. They're horizontal lines, but there is a line right in the middle of them. And we are going to try to make this match, and that's going to be kind of difficult, but we're going to attempt this. It's not always perfect, but we can do our best. So there's several ways to do this. Let me start by trying to get part of this line, and then we're going to try to line it back up. And that did not work well. You may have to just work in smaller sections. And you can still see part of this line. There's some different ways to do this. I'm actually going to try to pull from up here. No, I'm not. Edit, select, deselect. Let's try. Clone tool. So let me take my brush size down quite a bit. All right. And I'm going to push Control, Alt, and up here. And then I can go in and I can clean this up some. And this isn't the best repair. I've actually just started using this software recently. And I don't want to make this a real long video, so I'm not going to go into all the details of fixing this. There's different ways you can do it. You can clone it in, clone these bad stripes and areas in. That was just a quick fix for me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in and crop this image. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So we're going to push our crop. And I'm going to bring this down to where my color's at. And I'm actually going to crop out this black line because I don't really care for it. I'm going to bring this up to the bottom of the photo, and I'm going to push apply, and I want to have a look. And we've got some white over here, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to crop it again and just pull that over just a hair. And there we go. And if we wanted to make the background a little bit smoother, we could select it, go and push our flood select tool and select. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go in and select all. And then I'm going to go push my brush and push subtract. And I'm actually just going to go around him and subtract him. And that's probably going to be the easiest way to do this. Just to give it a little smoother feel in the back, I could go to filters and I could push blur and a Gaussian blur and soften that up just a hair so it gives it a smoother appearance. And then select, deselect. And that just gave it a little smoother appearance there. Anyways, this is our tutorial on doing torn photos. The next step that you would need to do is save this image. So I'm making sure all the other layers are off, just this one layer where I corrected. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go Save As. And it says Affinity Files. If I push this down, it's not going to say anything else, but I can just push Save. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is if I wanted to use this for something else, I can go to Export. And it's going to ask me what type of settings that I want up here, what kind of file type. And if I wanted a JPEG, I could do it like this. I can choose my quality, which I want my best quality. And I'm going to push Export. It's going to ask me where, and I want it on my desktop. I'm actually going to put a 1 behind this so I know that's what that is. And I'm going to push Save. Alright, with that being done, I'm going to minimize that. And you can see I've got this other photo here now. This is my Affinity project here. And this one, if I go to Properties, you will see is a JPEG photo that I can use anywhere. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't hesitate to ask. And thank you for watching our lovely video tutorial today on restoring torn images.